You're not allowed to look at it. Bloomberg reports war powers has been declared by the Federal Reserve, is now running the country. We've got open announcements of 20,000 combat troops to be used against the American people. I mean, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Right. Yep. So what can we do? I mean, the things that I can do are investigate the events of 9/11, develop new technologies if possible for a new society. Those are things I'm interested in doing.
Absolutely. We commend you. People need to go get you guys have now done peer-reviewed studies as well by major scientific journals, have looked at your findings and found them to be accurate, and more are now being reviewed. You put a lot of work into this, you and Stephen Jones and other physicists and architects and engineers. I guess it's now up to the listeners to get these scientific reports and give it to other engineers, friends and family, that are in these fields. Because I really think it's the fact that this scientific debate is what's going to lead to really this being forced out into the open.
Yeah, it has made a difference. It's changing minds in areas that we haven't seen ready to change yet, and that's what the peer-reviewed scientific articles in what we call mainstream journals can do. So we can send those to any mainstream scientists, and they will be usually ready to look at that sort of stuff because it is published in a mainstream journal. It doesn't make them feel as if they're taking a risk to read something like that. So it does help.
Do you think the perpetrators are scared of you guys? I mean, obviously they are, but I mean, they've got to know that they're in trouble. They've got to know that even if they don't ever physically get arrested, that the word's getting out about them.
I don't know if they're afraid or not. Sometimes I wonder, I think, Alex, you've used the word endgame before, and so some of these folks think that it's a game. They're a little bit unconscious, I think, and they're not making decisions as if they're living in the real world with the rest of us. So I don't know really what they think.
Well, that is what Rove said. He said, we are history's actors. We control reality. And he told the press corps this and said, and we'll just change reality one day, and we'll change it again, and then you'll respond accordingly. Well, I got news for Karl Rove. I'm not going to go along with your phony reality, buddy.
All right. Reality is what it is, and it's our opportunity to find out what that is on our own. And Karl Rove doesn't make reality. I'm sure of that.
Well, I mean, look at Israel. They got repulsed in Lebanon, and now they're in Gaza, and I'm not getting in debate here about whose side. My point is that look at Napoleon, look at Hitler. The hubris comes to an end. The problem is a lot of times it crushes little people in the process. I want to come back, and I want to keep you 5 minutes after in the next hour if we can, so we can take a few calls. Are you game to do that? Stay another 15 minutes total, sir?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll have you till 5 after next hour. We're going to come back and go to Betty, Don, Dan, and a few others, specifically for Kevin Ryan. He's an engineer. He saw their internal reports about the towers. He tried to go public, and they fired him. Well, thanks to this hero, we're very close to identifying those who were involved in the master planning of the 9/11 attacks. The investigation continues. Stay with us. Kevin Ryan, before I talk to Betty, Don, Dan, and a few others, any other points you haven't added, any other key information that we haven't gone over here with the audience today?
I just wanted to remind people that the nanothermite theory is only part of the demolition theory, and that the World Trade Center is only part of the 9/11 truth movement. So there's a great deal of information people need to continue to investigate, and there's a lot of good books and movies out there that help us with that.
Well, it's classic black ops to have different teams, different operations, overkill. They certainly had multiple types of explosives in the towers. They did both the operations unconventionally, but 7 is closer, correct? I mean, as an engineer, sir, closer to a classical?
Yeah, it's definitely, it looks very much like a classic demolition. So it was done differently. I would be sure of that, and we need to just get to whatever clues we can find. So when I'm looking at the intersection of people involved and people who had access to technologies and the buildings, and nanothermite residues. We're looking for clues, and we're going to dig those out and expose them as much as possible, and then move on.
Well, I think the bigger issue here is, too, psychology. People don't understand a military mind, a commander-level mind. We're going back thousands of years ago. A general would put, 500 of his cavalry or his ground troops to be captured to bring an enemy in so they could then destroy the larger force, knowing that the pawn sacrifice would be killed. And, that's how back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they had operations like Shad and others where they would nerve gas our own troops to death. And they found a group of doctors who would do that because they believed the end justifies the means. And so out of that mindset, they've created military cadres that will do this. Well, America needs to get tough, and we need to stage a terror attack to get the people straight. I'm sad we got to kill 3,000, but it's for America. It's for Israel. And, that's really how you get this type of thing going on. They'd tell them, we got to nerve gas our own troops because the Russians may use it, and the knowledge we gain here may save millions. And so they'd kill our own troops. But really the test was about creating cadres of Army doctors that would do this type of crap. So let's go to the calls here. Betty in Wisconsin. Betty, you are on the air. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Betty.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for Alex Jones' show and InfoWars and Prison Planet for being there. I got myself a subscription for Christmas. My question is, I'm reading this on the website for Kevin Ryan, a former UL manager, was fired for publicly questioning the NIST report? What was that NIST report?
Well, that's what we've been talking about, is this baloney report put out by explosive thermate experts from the Defense Department. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, the NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, so it's a government agency that reports through the Commerce Department. Therefore, its directors are Bush appointees or presidential appointees, and they work directly for the president in that sense. But they are a repository for standards. They do investigations in scientific ways of building failures and many other things.
When Congress gets involved, nothing much happens.
Yeah, well, Congress had a better investigation of 9/11. Then they had the Whitewash Commission appointed by Bush, and they had the nerve to say when they first had Henry Kissinger that it was independent. Your comments on the independent commission, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that the 9/11 Commission is a great thing to look into. Who are these people? I know one of them, James R. Thompson, is the former governor of Illinois. We know how honest the government in Illinois has been. But he was also the chairman of the law firm that UL hired to defend themselves in my lawsuit against them. That was interesting. There are other people like John Lehman who owned an explosives company in the late 90s. So I'm interested in a lot of these people.
Oh, very nice people. Stay there. We'll be right back in 70 seconds.